So we're going to multiply and divide rational numbers now. We're basically multiplying and dividing first off with decimals. So make sure you have your calculator out, and then we'll step it up to fractions. I think multiplying and dividing fractions is actually fairly easy if you just remember the rules. So the biggest thing here is rational numbers usually refer to non-integers. Yes, even though integers can be called rational numbers because they are, because they can be written as fractions. Multiplication and division sign rules apply the same as integers. We multiply and divided integers, the nice numbers, and we said that when you multiply positive times positive, you get a positive. You multiply negative times negative, you get a positive. If you multiply a combination of a positive and a negative, you will end up with a negative. So there are only three outcomes when multiplying numbers here. So to make things easier for ourselves, and I have that written down there, deal with the signs first so you can perform the operations with all the positive numbers. So we can basically take the absolute values. So we should know that if it's two negatives being multiplied together, the negatives will cancel. I just have to deal with a positive number because it will be a positive number. That's what I'm trying to get at. So it says find the product or the quotient. First one's the product, second one's the quotient because it's division. Take your calculators out. And what we're going to do then is multiply 7.2, a positive 7.2, times a negative 0.2. A negative 0.2 times a positive 7.2. A positive times a negative will be negative. So at that point, we will say the answer will be a negative. And all that we have to do is, what is 7.2 times 0.2? And we'll know it's going to be a negative, then what? 1.44. Has everybody got that? Did everybody check that to back that answer up? Okay. Same thing applies for dividing. If I divide a negative by a negative, I will get a positive. So I know the answer is going to be positive. Then I just have to divide 23.94 divided by 10.5. I'm putting parentheses around it because the positive sign's on the outside of everything. And what do you get? It should be 2 something. 2.28. 2.28 or 2.29, something like that. Makes sense, doesn't it? Pretty easy when you get to use your calculator. Now we're going to kick it up a notch here. We're going to multiply. We're going to find the product of fractions. The biggest thing I have here is, like we've done before, it says if we're going to multiply fractions, switch them to all improper fractions. It's okay if it has. Don't use mixed. What you're going to do is you're going to switch it to improper with a larger numerator than denominator. So that way you can just simply multiply across the top and the bottom, because that's how you multiply fractions. The first example there is multiplying 2/5 times 1/3. So all we have to do then is say, hey, they're both positive, so the answer will be positive. And so then I just have to worry about what's 2 times 1, 2, and what's 3 times 5.
15.
And then, of course, you always got to make sure that it's completely simplified. Is it completely simplified?
Well, I don't have them on, but
Are we completely simplified with 2/15?
no, yes.
Yes. 2 and 15 can't be simplified. The second group there is 3/5 times 1 and 1/2. I don't like the fact that it's 1 and 1/2. So let's switch it out. 3/5 can stay. First of all, it's a positive times a positive. The answer will be positive. Times, how do I switch that to an improper fraction again? You take the whole number times the numerator, which is 1 times 2, and add the
1.
numerator, 1. And so what's 2 plus 1? It's 3 over 2. And now we can simply multiply across. 3 times 3 is
9.
over 5 times 2, 10. So we get 9/10. Can I reduce that? No. The last problem, to make our lives easier, we're always just going to simplify at the end. Later on, as we go through these, we'll start to realize that we can simplify before we multiply. But, again, a positive times positive. You know what? Let's change this up a little bit. Let's make this a negative 1/4. Change it to a negative 1/4 in the beginning there. So now we have a negative times positive, so we can treat it and know that our answer will be negative. And what is 1 times 2? What's 1 times 2? 1 times 2. It's 2 over 4 times 9. 4 times 9? 36. 36. 9 plus 9 is 18, plus 9 is 27, plus another 9 is 36. So it's 36. Are we reduced now because our answer is a negative 236? Right? We have an answer of negative 2 over 36. Is that reduced? Can I divide the top and bottom by anything? What can I divide the top and bottom by?
18.
18? I can't.
Well, 2.
2. And 2 divided by 2 is? 1. 36 divided by 2 is? So our answer is a negative 1/18. Okay, example 3. I guess I didn't need to make that a negative sign in the problem C because now we can talk about different signs. If they have different signs, a positive times a negative or negative times positive, the answer will be negative. So now, 3 times 3? 4 times 8?
32.
32. Can I reduce 9/32? 9 is divisible by 9 and 3. Is 32 divisible by 3? Or 9? No. So the answer is a negative 9/32. On this page, we're going to start to talk about dividing. And to divide fractions, we need to take the reciprocal. And what does it mean to take the reciprocal of something?
You flip it.
Flip the fraction. So we're going to flip the fraction. So if I asked you down below there on letter A, it says find the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 3/8? 8 over 3. What's the reciprocal of 2 and 4/9? Oh wait, if I'm going to take the reciprocal, we probably should have it in what form? Improper? So let's switch that to improper. 2 and 4/9.
22.
2 times 9 is
18.
18 plus the 4, which makes the 22 over 9. That's the original problem. What's the reciprocal then? What's the reciprocal to 22/9? 9 over 22. And the final one is a negative 2/7. When I take the reciprocal, does its sign change? No. So it's the reciprocal to a negative 2/7. It's still a negative 7 over 2. The negative sign, guys, can go to the top or to the bottom. So if I flip it, it'd either be a negative 7 over 2 or a positive 7 over negative 2, which is a positive divided by a negative, still always negative. There's another definition on here. Multiplicative inverse. Basically means you're going to multiply by its inverse. The book wants to use multiplicative inverse as the same thing as reciprocal. It's because if I multiply something like 1/3 times its reciprocal, 3 over 1,
It's 1.
you get 3 over 3, which is 1. Right. Reciprocals, when multiplied together, a number to its reciprocal will be 1. So, what we're going to do now is we're actually going to do the dividing. And to do dividing of fractions, you flip the fraction after the division sign and change that division sign to multiplication. So we're going to change all dividing problems into multiplication, and then you can just multiply across. So first off, we have 1/3 divided by 1/2. So I need to change which one to take the reciprocal. Which one gets the reciprocal? The 1/3 or the 1/2?
1/2.
The 1/2. So it's 1/3, and what's the reciprocal of 1/2? 2 over 1, and I change the sign between them to multiplication. 1 times 2, 2. 3 times 1, 3. 2/3. Is it reduced? Yes. Okay, so these aren't too bad. Next one, 3/8 divided by 2/3. 3/8 times what?
2/3.
Not 2/3. 3 over 2. And so 3 times 3. 2 times 8. 2 times 8. 16. And can I reduce 9/16? And there's my answer. Kicking it up just a little bit here, I noticed that I have a mixed number. So let's rewrite that with the non-mixed number. 3/4 is okay. Divided by 2 and 1/2. 2 times 2 plus 1. It's 5 over 2. So now we can change this to multiplication. Which one gets flipped and multiplied? The 5 over 2, yep. Times? What's it going to be multiplied by? 3/4 times 2/5. So you end up with 3 times 2. 6/20. I think we can reduce this one. We can divide the top and bottom by what?
2.
2. And if I divide 6 by 2, I get 3. 20 divided by 2? 10. So that works out, right? And the final one, ooh, a negative divided by negative. What can I do? It's a negative divided by negative, which should be positive. So guess what I'm going to do to the original problem? I'm going to change those to plus signs. I know the answer is going to be positive. And so now I just end up with 1/5 times what? What is it? Multiplying by the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 3/10?
Negative 10/3.
We changed the positives now, didn't we?
10/3.
So it'd be 10/3, which then goes to 10 over 15, and that can be reduced to divide the top and bottom by 5, which is 2 over 3. And that's it.